Africa is protected by the God of Israel, while Israel uses the Iron Dome technology to protect themselves against attacks from the Hamas. Make it make sense. Does your pastor tell you that?
Oh! Somebody! Oh! He needs some milk!
In this video, let's talk about the war between Israel and Palestine, and I will tell you what happened and what caused that war. So in 1917, British Foreign Secretary by the name Arthur Balfour wrote a 67 words letter to Lincoln Rothschild. If you follow world politics and economy, you must know that the Rothschild own a very good percentage of the total wealth in the world. They have formed banks and other financial institutions to run the world economy. In that letter, Balfour had told Rothschild that the British government would settle Jews who were spread throughout Europe in a small area in Palestine. You might ask yourself, what had happened to the Jews so that they be resettled? The main reason as to why they were to be settled is because of this man, Adolf Hitler. Do you remember the Holocaust? Due to the atrocities that were committed against them, being locked up in concentration camps and killed ruthlessly by Adolf Hitler, the Jews spread across Europe into different countries. You might also ask yourself, who were the British to settle Jews spread across Europe in Palestine? Why didn't they settle them in England or the Ireland or Wales? The main reason as to why that happened is because Palestine was under the rule of Britain. The Palestinians were like, no, you cannot bring this large amount of Jews into our land without permission. So they started to revolt against that decision. So in that protest, the British became ruthless against the Palestinians and they started to kill them. And since they could not succeed on their own, they recruited some Jews who had been resettled in Palestine to start attacking the native Palestinians. In retaliation, the Palestinians said, we won't pay taxes to you, the British, and you won't buy products from the Jews. In that melee, 5,000 Palestinians were killed, between 15,000 and 50,000 Palestinians were injured, and 5,600 they were jailed. To support my arguments or my allegations, check out this survey or this data from the immigration of Jews into Palestine between 1920 and 1946. A total of 376,415 Jews had been settled in Palestine in that period. 2 years after the fall of Adolf Hitler, that is in 1947, the total population of Palestine was comprised of 3% of Jews, but they had one challenge: land. The UN, under pressure from Britain, decided to adopt what became the infamous Resolution 81. According to the resolution, Palestine was to be divided into two areas, one area to be occupied by the Palestinians and the other one to be occupied by the Jews. The issue is not about the division of the land, because the main issue is that 56% of the land was to be occupied by the Jews, while the rest was to be occupied by the Palestinians. The Palestinians complained so much about it, and so the UN had to act. They reduced the land that was to be occupied by the Israelites from 56 to 55%, and the Palestinians, who were the majority, were to occupy 42% of the land, and the remaining 3% was to be under the international community. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how the Zionist states, which is now today called Israel, was born. Before the British could stop the colonization of Palestine, the Israelites or the Jews had already started to attack the native Palestinians, and they increased the land from 55% to 78%. And that was not it, because the rest of the land, that is the remaining 22%, was divided into two areas: the Gaza Strip, the West Bank. The melee between the Jews and Palestinians intensified, and by 1949, a total of 500 Palestinians had been killed. About 750,000 Palestinians were forced to migrate or to flee into neighboring countries, that is Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt. There's so much that happened between 1949 and 1987, including the Six-Day War in 1967 that saw several Arab countries fight Israel. In 1987, what came to be known as the First Intifada by the Palestinians occurred. That also led to the formation of the Hamas movement, which was a split from the Muslim Brotherhood. During that time, a total of 1,027 Palestinians were killed. The Intifada ended in 1993 when the Oslo Accords was signed. Israel was to occupy about 60% of the West Bank area, which had already been given to Palestine earlier. They said that was not enough. About 750,000 Palestinians became refugees in their own country and they had to flee to other countries. In 1995, Israel built an electric fence separating the area between West Bank and Gaza, occupying about 60% of the total area. But as if that was not enough, they continued to expand their borders. Israel has continued to attack Palestinians, especially in the Gaza region, between 2008, 2014, 2021, and now 2023. There are no justifiable reasons as to why Israel continues to attack Palestinians in their land. What does the world say about the war in Palestine? The US came out and said that they will be supporting Israel because, well, the Hamas are terrorists. And that is funny because the US is the biggest non-terrorist or human rights abuser.
Good afternoon. Today, the people of Israel are under attack, orchestrated by a terrorist organization, Hamas. In this moment of tragedy, I want to say to them and to the world and to terrorists everywhere, that the United States stands with Israel. We will not ever fail to have their back.
Look at what they did in Afghanistan, Palestine, Iraq, and other countries. They bomb without care, and they say that they are protecting the citizens and they are installing democracy. The British also say that they will be supporting Israel because, well, they want to stop the invasion of the Hamas, which is a terrorist group, as if they are not the ones who led to the occupation of Palestine's native land. Russia and China have said that they will be supporting Palestine in whatever way possible. As the war between Israel and Palestine or Hamas continues or intensifies, it will be a battle of the supremacies between the US and the rest of the world, or the US bootlickers and the US sympathizers with the rest of the world. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe.